Hey everybody, Amitabh Medalov. I just wanted to make a video talking about meditation, how it can be very, very helpful for everyone, whether you have stress in your life, a disease, or just, any type of emotions in your life that you're having difficulty with. We all do from time to time, sometimes all the time, some of us. So, the Buddha said the word nibbana, which is people talk about enlightenment, um, and they have a very different meaning of it compared to what the Buddha um, intended. And the word nibbana is it means to put out or cooling. So it's as though, and it literally is, if you start to feel and understand your emotions and your feelings, it's as though there are all these fires inside in the mind and the body, and we're being burned by our own hand. We think that the problems that we have are caused by others, by political parties, by our girlfriend or boyfriend or mother or father. But in the end, while it is true that we can be traumatized, we can be harmed, in the end, everything comes down to our own responsibility. So there are these fires burning within. There's a really important sutta called Burning, which I highly recommend. And the Buddha he's traveled to see the sun worshippers, fire worshippers, and they they start asking him questions and they think they've got things figured out. And he says the eye is burning, the nose is burning, the mouth is burning, the tongue is burning, tastes are burning, uh, tactile sensations, touch is burning, sensations are burning, the ear is burning, sounds are burning, um, sound consciousness is burning. So there are like these three steps. There's, like, for example, there's the eye, there's the object, and there's the eye consciousness that's created. The Buddha said there's like five. Uh, there are five clinging aggregates, and they're all the senses and the mind. Sorry, five clinging aggregates, six sense doors. So the six sense doors are where we receive input. So there's sight, smell, taste, hearing, touch, and um, the mind. So with touch, kind of feeling, emotional feeling, there's the physical feeling, and then there's the mental feeling. So that's the mind. So there's all these different inputs we have all the time, contact, and when we resist contact or we desire more of it. So we push things away, or we're trying to get more pleasant sensations, pleasant feelings, pleasant thoughts, pleasant ideas, and we're trying to push away things we dislike. Um, we we've misunderstood uh, the purpose of all these, because on the very basic level, through evolution, we would have needed, and we still do to some extent, we would have needed uh, to be fearful. We would have needed to be fearful of ideas that are not our own, because we would have needed to survive. And so this, so the biggest burden we have is this I am, this belief that I'm right, that all my ideas are the most important, um, my beliefs, my feelings are the most important. And it doesn't mean that we should negate them, but these things, these feelings, these sights, these sounds, consciousness that's created through all the six sense doors, they are burning, and they're burning us, and they're causing us harm. They're taking away our peace. Because in some ways, our natural state is peace, but we don't know it. We know it in some fleeting moments, but not on a deep, deep level. We think that, peace is gotten from doing things you like, or being with agreeable people, or having, pleasant experiences. But really, um, peace comes from the experienceless experience. The deepest peace comes from nibbana, from enlightenment, and we can move towards that through meditation. So we basically we have all these sense doors being activated all the time. You can't help it because you're alive, um, and maybe those sense doors are activated in different ways through different forms of existence. But in the human existence, we have all these senses, and the mind is a sense as well, and they're being activated, and then we have this clinging. So we want more of it or we want less of it. All these ideas, beliefs, feelings, sights, sounds, smells, taste, touch. We want more or less of it, you know what I mean? And we're not just accepting reality as it is. And this creates friction, creates fire, creates burning. And this burning is stress. So when we resist reality, it's like if you were say there's a log floating in the river, and it's floating along. It's going to have a certain amount of wear and tear. It's going to wear down over time. But if the log were implanted in, like you see, for example, stone formations, writing on stone in Alberta, for example, is a good example. And there's these stone formations, and it's like a plate on top of like a long spindle, and and it wears away because of the friction, because it's resisting the water. But if that stone were flowing with the water, if that log were flowing with the water, it would have less resistance. It would be going with the flow of reality. So it's when we resist reality, there's always going to be a certain amount of suffering. And that's why we keep meditating again and again until we have that deep, complete understanding of reality where we have zero resistance and there's complete peace. So the analogy doesn't completely work, but I'm sure you can get where I'm going. So when we resist the sense doors and we cling to ideas and beliefs and I ams, this is mine, this is me, this is myself, we're creating a false identity. We're creating resistance towards the flow of reality, and to bear experience, bear witnessing. And when we can witness in a pure way, then we become purified. And in the same at the same time, there's nothing to purify because everything's an illusion anyways. Um, but you'll notice in your life, the more resistance you have, the more ideas, the more distractibility we have, the more suffering, the more anger, the more indignancy, the more upsets, the more desires, the more dissatisfaction, the more agitation. And you find that we're usually doing things, even mundane things, and you're, cleaning your house or whatever, getting things done. It's usually because of some sort of agitation, goals. It's so tricky. How do you live life without goals? But and you shouldn't. You should have goals. But there's this fine line between, I want to live the best life I can live and achieve these goals because I think it would be really beneficial for me and the world. And I got to do this because I'm not enough, because my life sucks, or I need this because I'm suffering and I feel like this is going to take it away, or I need this because I gotta have it. All these emotions and feelings and thoughts that are coming from lack, coming from not wanting things, resistance, agitation. These are all things that are burning us. So meditation, what it does is it takes away the food for the fire. So just as the Buddha, said, Nibbana is like cooling, putting out. It's like putting out a fire. It's not blowing out the fire. It's cooling. It's like you're boiling a pot of water and you take it off the heat. You don't do anything. You just stop agitating the water. So when we stop agitating ourselves through clinging, through wanting to desiring, anger, upset, indignancy, we're taking the pot off off the stove. And so, monks will say it's like if, you know, in meditation, settling doesn't happen like that. It takes some time. But certainly within 30 minutes, you can achieve a significant cooling, a significant amount of peace. And the more you do it again and again, you start to build the skill of letting go. So it's like if you're burning a fire. Actually, I was at my friend Carrie's house last night. A bunch of us, Carrie and Tanis and Ron, and we were having a fire, and the fire would burn off, and Carrie had to end up continuing to add more logs to the fire to keep it going, to keep that heat, to keep that burning. And that's what we're doing when we resist reality, when we connect, when we cling to ideas of self. I am, this is mine, this is me, this is who I am, uh, and unhealthy ideas, anger, upset, um, just aggression. What we're doing is we're putting more. Each time we have one of these unwholesome emotions or these clinging emotions, we're putting more wood on the fire. We're continuing to burn, and then the embers are sparking off, and then they're lighting new fires within the body and the mind, and we just become more and more and more unsettled. And it's like you just keep turning up the heat on the pot, instead of just turning it off or taking it off the heat. So meditation, it just really allows things to settle. Just like if you have, some water. For example, I got this big thing of water, but if it was full of sand and I shake it up, the sand's going to be swirling around, and yet if I just stop shaking it, if I just put it down, it'll all settle. Everything will settle to the bottom, and then you can see clearly. You can see reality clearly. You know, you might need to still do some things about what's in the water. You still need to deal with reality. Pay your bills, have some wholesome goals, and work towards achieving them, because otherwise, what's the point of life? If you're not going to grow in any way or become more wise, or create things. But we certainly don't need to live in a way that creates more and more agitation, more upset for ourselves. Because when we create upsets for ourselves, when we perceive that others have created them for us, really it's our own resistance to the ideas of others and the words of others, taking things personally, or identifying with political parties or points of view or religious ideas. What we're doing is we're just shaking things up. We're just creating more and more problems for ourselves, and then the outpouring of that, the outflows of that, is we create problems for others. So, so all the problems in the world can really come down to this. Um, we're not at peace with ourselves. We want things with an intensity that if we don't have them, we become upset. We become upset with ourselves. We become upset with others. We cause harm to others. We cause pain for others, because the only responsibility we have ultimately in the world. Although I do think we need to have some sort of social change to our ways of government, because they're obviously ineffective. The way we're exploiting the environment, we obviously need to care and take care of things, because things will break down if you don't take care of them. But the ultimate and only responsibility is taking care of ourselves. There's a sutta called the Bahia Sutta, where there's there are two acrobats. No, it's not the Bahia. It's the Bamboo Acrobat Sutta, and there are two acrobats, and the idea is one's holding a pole, and then the other one's bouncing on the pole, like standing on it or bouncing on it. And the one that's holding the pole says, "I'll take care of you," I'll take care of you, and I gotta read it again. It's been a while. Basically, he says, "I'll take care of you, and we'll both be safe," sort of. And the other guy says, no, no, no. You take care of you, and by doing that, you'll take care of me. So all he has to do, he doesn't have to worry about what's happening in the world with the other person. He just has to, you have to be conscious and aware, compassionate. But you just have to take care of your end of reality. Really, if you want to like live a wise and fulfilled life, you know, you take care of yourself, and then there's no negative outpouring, and there's no, you're not creating fires that light other people's fires. So you can think about, you know, I dated a woman who was an alcoholic, and it was really unfortunate, and there was a lot of harm caused. And I used to tell her, I said, you know, everybody's got fuel, but you've got the matches. So so don't light the matches. Everybody has their own responsibility. They're gonna light their own fires, but just don't light fires for people. Don't create upsets for people. And I'm definitely guilty in the past. Uh, I've gotten better over time. Not perfect now, um, but meditation has really allowed me to understand how my emotions are working and see how my mind's working. And when I don't meditate, I get caught up. So the reason I'm making this video is because I just meditated right before making this, and I was feeling so much agitation in my body, energetic strangeness, and just like this anxiety within, and it felt like waves of upset. Um, there was nothing I was upset about, but I noticed my mind was traveling here and there about the situations, the things that have happened recently in my life, things people have done to me, things that I've done, things I have to do, and all these things. My mind was very fluttering, and it was burning, and I felt like burning inside. And I sat and I meditated, and I used the word Om, and I repeated Om, and the mind would travel off, bring it back to Om, relax, don't resist. When it goes away. So sorry. I just woke up a little while ago. And I just meditated, so sometimes it can make you a bit tired because you're so rested afterwards. But the mind travels away, and then you bring it back again and again, and eventually things settle. As you come back to yourself, as you come back to this experience, and you just use your one tool to anchor your mind into the present moment. So you're no longer giving importance to the things that the mind naturally does. Because naturally it's prone to anger. It's naturally prone to unwholesome desires and being indignant and saying everybody's an asshole, and religious beliefs. That's natural. That's normal, and it's not good. It's not helpful. It just harms people. It harms yourself. Harms others. But when you can anchor it in reality, there's a sutta the Buddha talks about. It's called the leash, and the idea is, it's like a dog tied to a leash, and it's always going around. It's biting people. I'm totally paraphrasing and changing this, but read the sutta. But the idea is it's like a dog going off and biting people and harming people and taking, what do dogs do? Untrained dogs, they or cats, they tear up your furniture, they eat your shoes, they shit and piss all over everything, they bite people, they bark, they're noisy. But when you tie a dog to a leash, at some point, or to a pole, you put it on a leash and tie it to a pole, eventually the dog is going to sit down and rest. It's not going to fight forever. So the mind is like that too. So if you anchor the mind with a mantra, you can watch your breath. I'm coming back to using Om, and I'm going to use it again for a while, because this is what I used in the beginning, and it's just a single word. It could be Om, or it could be love, or it could be one, or it could be peace, or any word you want. It should be a wholesome word. It shouldn't be like fuck you. It should be some sort of wholesome word if you're going to use a mantra. And Om's a very wholesome word. In Hindus believe that Om is the word of creation. So hey, why not? Doesn't have a particular meaning for me, but it's a word, and I like that it's not an English word. It's not like love or peace or anything, that has a mental attachment. It's just Om, whatever it could be. You could say ah, you could be the ah, but Om has a definite beginning and an ending, so it's a nice word. So you just use it. You come back, you come back, you come back, you come back, and you will find that your mind will sit down, your body will begin to sit down, it will begin to rest. And in that rest is great, great healing. Something called the relaxation response. It's the opposite of the stress response. People think they're not stressed, but everyone is stressed. Being alive is stressful. Having a body is stressful. Having discursive thoughts is stressful. Because you have pain. We have pain. We have pleasure. And what meditation does is it allows you to settle, allows you to anchor down into the present moment, and just for time being, say that all those other things that have been pulling me in my life, my pain in my body, my angry thoughts, or my desires, or my sadness, or my depression, all those things don't matter right now. While I sit down, don't recommend lying down and meditating because you'll fall asleep. While I sit down, all that matters is just this. And it gives you a chance to not add fuel to those other fires, to the fire of your body. Because when you feel pain, there's tensing. When you feel physical pain, which we all have, and as you get older, there's more. If you have a disease or a sickness, there's more. There's tensing. And so as you just come back to this one thing, you're not adding more tension to those other things, and tension will start to release. The relaxation response starts to set in, and it actually changes your DNA. And I highly recommend you look at the benefits of meditation, the benefits of the relaxation response. It lowers your heart rate, lowers your blood pressure, it turns on the anti-cancer genes, it turns off the genes that are causing cancer. So many benefits. And over time, you'll start to be able to release those wounds, those things in your mind and in your life that you feel like where you feel like you've really been wronged, and maybe you have been, but it doesn't help to hang on to these things and to keep going over them. My mother did this. I can't believe, because I used to do that. My mother hurt me. It's true. And my mother knows this, and she feels bad about it. So why do I need to, I need to forgive her, and because my mind will just keep creating this tape loops. My father hurt me badly. So many girls I've dated have hurt me badly. And I'm sure I've hurt them. I'm sure I've hurt all of them. We have all been hurt by everyone, and we've hurt everyone. Until you're enlightened, until you're, a perfected being, you're going to hurt people in the world. But this is a way of saying, you know what? I'm going to get at the root cause of why I've been hurting myself and why I've been hurting others, why I've been having difficult relationships, difficult times in my life. Because, there is a certain thing that happens, that, the energy that we have within us, the thoughts that we have within us, tend to attract, tend to create those things in our life, and it's a way of karma. So if we have a lot of anger and tension and are wanting things way too bad, and we're going to create negative experiences, negative feelings, and that energy is going to disrupt our chi, our life force energy within. It's going to disrupt the functioning of our nerves and our thinking and our cellular communication, and then disease is going to set in. And if we have a disease when our mind is unsettled, it's going to be very difficult, because when it's going to be very much more difficult to settle the mind. It can still be done. It can definitely still be done. But when the body is in pain, it creates more tension, more ability to find upsets within the mind and create upsets. And then at the same time, if you have a disease, it could also send you the other way. You could also become humbled and say, wow, there's really nothing worth being upset about. I need to find peace because I'm having such a hard time with my body. My time is running out. Even if you have the disease for a very long time, or you have, um, you know, the time is always running out. So there's only so much time. And the idea that, they always say, you know, when you think about the word older and fill in the blank, what comes after older and it's wiser, isn't it? Older and wiser. So everybody thinks it's a good idea, and they're right. It's always a good idea to you should become wiser as you become older. Nobody says, oh yeah, well, when I become older, I want to become more angry, or I want to become more, indignant, or, you know, upset with my family. I want to have worse relationships. Nobody wants that. Everybody wants better relationships, and you can achieve all the things you want to achieve in a way that doesn't create more upsets for others, doesn't create more upsets, agitation, more dysregulation within the body. And if you've had traumas, we all have. Some have had worse than others. We can heal those. There is a way. You just have to believe, and you have to do the things that are necessary. Take the wood off the fire in your life. Stop contributing to the agitations in the mind and the body. Stop consuming things that upset you. And the ultimate problem is not those things, it's your relationship to those things. But there are things that will, just like if you eat cayenne pepper all the time, you're going to have burning in your body. Cayenne pepper can be good, but if you have too much of it, it's going to cause burning. Or like I bought some kiwis a while ago, and one kiwi, very good for you, maybe two, but I ate the whole. There was like maybe 8 or 10 of them, and I ate most of them. I thought, oh yeah, they're really good for you, because kiwi has, the ability to repair your DNA, but it's acidic. So you have to know what you're consuming. Is there any harm? Is there any potential harm? There are things you can eat unlimitedly, or drink, water. You can pretty much drink water in an unlimited way, but there's a certain point where you can actually die from water, drinking too much water. It's like 18 liters in a day, but it's a lot, but it's pretty harmless. So we need to be careful with the things that we're consuming, and if there are things that are agitating, at least cut it way back, because how much do you really need to know? How much do you really need to know? You know, could we just live in a way that's where what's the real value in knowing things that are upsetting? Unless we're going to act to try to change them. And even if we do, what's the point in becoming upset about things? It doesn't create any change, it just creates upset. So why don't we find a way to live peacefully? So this is what I'm going to try to do, and I want to inspire others to do so. I hope this has been helpful. It's a very long video. But if you found it useful, let me know. Reach out. If you want any help with meditation, I can help. There's lots of information on the internet. I would say the only key is understand the 5 hindrances, research it, look up online the 5 hindrances, and this will help you have a foundation for how to relate to your meditation in your life, and why meditation may or may not be working for you. If it is, it's because these 5 hindrances are at play. You don't see them, you don't understand what they are, and make it through them. You have to make it through them, because that's what prevents the peace. So, peace out. I love you. Take the wood off the fire of suffering in your life and let it cool. I encourage you to meditate, and I'm going to be spending more time meditating regularly. I got out of the practice, and it wasn't great for my life. I started having more anxiety. So, and while I'm largely under control, I largely don't hurt others anymore. I still hurt myself. So I am going to take this advice, this gift of meditation that we all have, to focus, to bring ourselves back to a still place and live a better life. I love you. Take care.